Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Gilmore GlobalView Podcast series. My name is Mike Dunnigan, Vice President with Gilmore Global, and I'm very fortunate to have a guest today that I first met in 1996. I think I had a full head of hair then, so it was quite a while ago. Our careers have intersected, I don't know how many different times, over the last 25 years. Most of it's been in the training market, whether it's delivering training content, managing content, developing it, all the different subtle nuances in regards to getting training content into trainees' hands, or on their laptops, or today, other devices. So he's a great friend, client, overall technology training guru, I would say. So I'd like to welcome Rob Rashotte. Rob's I'm looking at my notes because Vice President, Global Training and Technical Field Enablement with Fortinet. You win the prize for the person with the longest title, Rob, with our GlobalView series. So welcome, Rob.
Great, thanks. Good to see you again, Mike. It's been a long time, but I guess hard to get out and meet with people these days, but it's good to see you online.
Thanks, man. Good to see you too. So before we dive into some of the really juicy, questions I put together, and I'm peeking at some of my notes, can you give the folks that are watching, listening, an overview of Fortinet and your global training program in particular?
Sure. I'll start with Fortinet as a company first. Fortinet is a cybersecurity vendor. We actually just celebrated our 20th anniversary last year. We're headquartered in Sunnyvale, California, but we have offices all over the world, like most high-tech firms. I'm based in Ottawa, Canada. We actually have a pretty good footprint here in the city as well. We have a number of different organizations that are based here out of Ottawa. We have quite a broad portfolio that covers products, across the entire attack surface. So, when I started at Fortinet many years ago, we had a fairly small product portfolio, and now it's grown as cybersecurity has become a bigger attack surfaces have grown. So has our product portfolio. So we have a range of products that consists of probably 40, 50 different products. The training organization at Fortinet, it's a fairly large organization for the size of the company. So Fortinet's about 7,000 people. Our training organization is about 100 people. And we focus on, three primary areas. We have customer training programs. They're fairly typical, vendor training program. We have, partner training and enablement, where we make sure our partners are fully able to engage and sell our products and position our products and so on. And then my team's also responsible for all of our internal training as well. So those are kind of the three main buckets. And an area that we've really started to get into a lot more, and I'm sure we'll get into this as we talk about, what's been going on lately in the industry, is we've started to do a lot more training for the general public that is less about Fortinet and more about cybersecurity in general. So it's a pretty broad focus across all those different industry groups.
Nice, good summary. First of all, you're starting out great. I'm giving you 7 bonus points for the best opening so far. Good stuff, Rob. You still got your game. Actually, I mentioned in the opening that we met in 1996. I want to make it clear we were both 12 years old, right? We were 12 years old in 1996 because we were both like prodigies of some kind. Is that our story?
Something like that. I think you were a little bit older than me, but yeah.
Be nice. Be nice. So, 25 years in the industry. You've seen a lot of changes, a lot of things happen. Probably not, didn't expect what happened in the last 12 months. No one did. But in the industry, what are you seeing right now, trends? You just sort of hinted at it in your opening. Trends as far as not just what the organizations are doing directly, but expectations of the learners. What are they expecting as far as delivery options? You talked about training the public, which is a question around grassroots programs and anything that supports that overall holistic, global, continual learning approach. What do you see there as far as trends? Big question, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, the trends are, if I was to summarize it, the trends really all come down to, consumption and how students, want to consume training. And I think, a lot of the times I draw parallels between, how things have changed from, cable television to all of the streaming services that we see today. And that's been driven by how younger people in particular, but not just younger people, all of us, how we want to consume content differently. And that maps directly to everything that certainly we've seen in the education field, and I'm sure everyone else has as well. So we've really had to adapt to that. Now, I will say, though, that the traditional classroom-based, instructor-led training it's still very strong. It'll always have a place. It's always going to be probably the most impactful type of training. But certainly as far as trends, we've had to really try to be creative and figure out what are the other consumption models that we need to address to make sure that people that are not able to, get on a plane and fly to a big city to take a 5-day training course, how can we accommodate those learners? And that's really driven a lot of change within our industry for sure.
That actually kind of ties into the elephant in the corner, which is the pandemic. So I'm assuming a lot of that change has either been accelerated or come out of left field because you had no choice. You had to adapt and pivot and do whatever you had to do to get folks trained. Because what you're doing training is so important for so many organizations, right? Especially in the world of cybersecurity, right?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has. And, thank God, we were already going down the path of trying to figure out these new consumption models. And then, obviously what happened early last year really forced us to accelerate those things. And what was interesting was, we've been running this traditional training for so long, and we tend to develop all of these theories and philosophies of how we could do things differently and how we could drastically change the way we do things. And of course, you're a little bit nervous about really flipping the switch. And so we kind of dip our toes in a little bit and try things out. And then of course, last April is when we realized that, this is now the new world. So it forced us to adopt some new strategies that we realized we were more prepared for than we thought we were. And once we were forced to really embrace it, it's created some really great new programs and strategies and so on where we're getting our training out to way more people today than we were a year ago.
Well, I can say that I've seen that myself because as our organizations work together, and what we've seen Fortinet do as far as expanding your global network through your authorized training partner program has been almost seamless, really. Now, one of the questions I had when I was just making my notes here was, a lot of things have changed, but and I think you're in every continent training other than Antarctica, and I know we work with you to deploy that content. But do you see fluctuating needs this is maybe a weird question, generationally and regionally? So when I say generationally, I know the classic Gen X v Gen Y versus traditionalist versus boomer, right? Or not a lot of traditionalists still going to be taking tech training, but some. But do you see a difference geographically too? Because I mean, if I go from, we're fulfilling training programs for you all over Europe. We just launched one not that long ago, I think in Beirut. We're everywhere. So have you seen any difference there as far as how that regionally is preferences are as far as consumption and process?
Well, yeah, I guess we looked at in a couple of different ways. So as far as younger participants, what I've been hearing from colleagues a little bit surprisingly is the younger demographic really seems to be missing a lot of the interaction. And I've started to bring that up specifically as questions when I'm meeting with colleagues around, how are you seeing, almost the same question that you just asked me, how are you seeing the difference in the way that training is being consumed and the preferences? Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to hear that pretty consistently that no, the younger folks are missing the interaction. Now, I think that's probably more on the academic side than the corporate training side. On the corporate training side, I think what we're seeing more is it's less of a, is it younger folks that are more comfortable with the way that we're consuming training now online and so on. I think it's across the board. Younger folks may be more comfortable consuming training in that mode, but I think what's also happening is organizations are starting to realize that it can still be pretty impactful, and so are embracing it a lot more. Now, regionally, don't really see much difference regionally in terms of whether classroom training or remote and so on. But what I will say, and I hate to say this being based in North America, but certainly our European students, training in general is taken very, very seriously in Europe. Certification is taken very seriously and so on. And so we tend to see a lot more engagement in Europe just around the need to get training, timely training, get certified, and so on. It really is a much higher priority in Europe, I think.
Maybe it's because you can drive to a session 3 countries away in 4 hours. That might have something to do with those.
And that may very well be. I mean, North America is a hard geography to create scalable training programs and have them in bricks and mortar locations, accessible to everyone. That may be.
We've been working together with Gilmore Global and yourself at Fortinet. We've been managing work for you since 2012, I remember. So that's quite a while. We've seen a lot of change through market. So as far as these trends that we're talking about, are there any that you saw that were a reaction to the pandemic you were forced to change, even though you already had a head start, but you've looked, when you step back and you have your internal strategy, means, you know what, that really works. Let's stick with that. That's something new we didn't think was going to be something. I don't want to sound the wrong way, but has it almost done you in some weird, odd, obscure way a favor, that it's sort of given you a nudge to something that is going to help your learning organization going forward? Just weird question, but I thought it was kind of neat.
Well, it has. I think the one thing that was probably the biggest thing for us to deal with. So we have a certification program, and we consider it a high stakes certification program. So the associated exams are in bricks and mortar proctored testing centers, and that got obviously very complicated. Yeah. So one area that we're going to continue offering is remote proctoring, which is something that was a direct reaction to the pandemic, but we're now seeing more people preferring that method than our traditional bricks and mortar proctoring. So that we'll continue with that.
Nice.
Another area that really was, we weren't forced to make this change, but we decided to make it. And I won't go into too much detail, but we're making an awful lot of our training. Actually, the large majority of our training today is available free of charge. And that was a very, very strategic decision that we made back in April of last year. And, I can talk about different reasons and outcomes of that, but that was definitely something that came back to us in very surprising ways that actually had extremely positive paybacks in other areas as well.
Yeah, I've been, obviously I follow Fortinet pretty closely, and the press, the social media presence that you created with those initiatives were exceptional. I mean, it's such a pay it forward type of approach, and kudos to Fortinet for taking that, because it's obviously worked really, really well. One of the last tough questions, they're going to have a few softballs to lob at you. So if you look ahead, say 3 to 5 years from this day, we're both happen to be obviously working from home offices in lovely Ottawa, and it's actually technically might be above freezing right now, but it's not that cold, so that's good. But 3 to 5 years from now,
we'll still have traditional instructor-led training, but we'll be focusing more and more efforts on making training available where people want it, when they want it, how they want to consume it, and taking the Netflix approach, if you will, of that. And remote labs, the technology around remote labs has changed so much over the last several years that's enabling us to do a lot of this as well, where it's not just theoretical training, but making remote lab training available where and when people want it as well. So that'll be a big focus. And I think the industry will be moving in that direction a lot, and certainly have already. Nice. From a Fortinet specific response, I think because of the free training initiatives that we launched, we've brought a lot more people to our training. And what we're finding is, a lot of that training, the large majority of it, is Fortinet product specific. And what we're finding is there's a lot of demand for more industry general training, where people, we might have someone that's been in IT for 15 years and now they want to become a cybersecurity person, and they need a lot more than just Fortinet training to do that. So we as a company will start to go down that path of expanding our curriculum. So it's not just about Fortinet technology, but it's about cybersecurity in general, to give people that training that they need to close those gaps. And I think we'll also start to see it, and we're doing this already with workshops with a number of academic institutions and universities in particular, where we're starting to take our training now and our workshops more specifically from engineering schools into business schools and starting to do training around, why cybersecurity is critical in the boardroom, not just the IT department.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll start to see our training move a lot in that direction to try to close the cyber skills gap that we have today.
Or virtual boardroom too. You forgot that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so we're recording this on a Friday, so that was way too many hard questions. So thanks for this. I mean, you can have a nap after, because I know at your age, you're not young like me. You might need a nap. Let the abuse begin. All right, so I got a few lightning round questions for you, Rob. You ready? These are the hard ones, okay? Favorite food. Favorite food.
Food. If I don't have to be specific, I'll say Italian. If I need to be more specific, then pasta.
Pasta. Okay, your check. You get 7 bonus points again. Favorite, I know you're a very well-traveled guy, so favorite restaurant in the world, favorite place in the world you've been to eat?
Well, I mean, the well-traveled thing really doesn't apply then, because, I'm going to say an Ottawa-based restaurant, which is Divino's on Preston Street in Ottawa, which unfortunately closed down during the pandemic. That would have been definitely my top.
Nice teaser. Favorite location to visit for work and favorite location to visit for vacation?
Two separate?
Yeah, which
So
or work, the same place.
Okay, well, for work, Nice, France, no question. Don't have to think about that one at all. That's where our largest European office is, and probably my favorite city that I've been to in Europe.
By the way, I had a call with one of your colleagues in Nice, and it was not a very nice day here, and he was kind enough to turn his camera around and show the view out his window, and everyone just went.
Yeah, so as you say that, I know exactly who you're talking about, and he loves to do that in team meetings all the time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Bit of a bully, but a nice guy, actually. So, vacation, where do you want to vacation? Same place?
Probably, I'm going to say, I'm going to have to say Hawaii. I've only been once. But it's definitely
nice.
I'll go back there. Can I go back? Can I go back to the favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
I'm not going to change my answer, but I am going to add French Laundry to the bucket list. I have not been, but that's a bucket list restaurant for me, is the French Laundry in Napa Valley.
Yes, I've heard. Okay. You're allowed to put that on your list because no one really cares in the terms of you're not being scored later, but it's fun to talk about because I have that lunch. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to lob it over to your favorite hobby.
Favorite hobby is distance running.
Yeah. You're one of those crazy people, by the way.
I'm one of those crazy people. Yeah.
Like I saw a post one day randomly. You're like running a marathon in Tokyo. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Got to be a little crazy sometimes.
Oh, I love it. What's the most unique thing you've ever done? Which might be bad, but
that's a tough one. So unique. Well, I mean, there's probably a few running related, but let's leave that one. So here's one. So years ago, I was involved as the lighting director for a major production of Pink Floyd The Wall. Which is, yeah.
You're now your son's gonna think you're cooler than me. Great.
Yeah, well, he might not know who Pink Floyd is, but
he does. He knows every song.
I'm showing my age again. So
no, younger generation now loves the older stuff, which is great. Speaking of Pink Floyd, favorite band and last song you listened to on your playlist?
Oh, favorite band is Rush. It'll always be Rush, no question. Last song, I can't think of the last song, but it was probably Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. For some reason, I've been listening to a lot of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young lately. So, well,
if you look in the background, you're talking about a guitar addict. So I do play a lot of their stuff on guitar. So it's good. I don't sing it though because the neighbors complain. That's another issue.
Yeah. Well,
you mentioned streaming services. This is like every call I go on now, and I do a lot of. I'm constantly doing this. The topic is either the opening or the closing is what are you watching? What are you watching right now on your streaming service, Netflix or Crave or whatever?
Well, I just finished watching Breaking Bad again. So Breaking Bad was the first, series that I binge watched many, many years ago. And I went back to it, started a little while ago, just wrapped it up, watched the finale last week. And I got to say, I still think it's one of the best Netflix series ever.
I still haven't watched it.
Oh man, you got it. And Bryan Cranston, who's the lead role in that, I'm actually now, because of watching Breaking Bad, I'm watching a new series called Your Honor, which stars him as well.
I'm watching that. I'm one in.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. What was my last question? Oh yeah, this is a good question. I think a good one to close on. So, what are you most looking for? Where we both happen to live in the city, we've partially opened up. But what are you most looking forward to doing when people can just gather again and get back to whatever the new normal is? What's the one thing that's just going to make you take a deep breath and absorb the moment?
Well, obviously travel. But more specifically, I think it comes up all the time when I'm on my manager's calls with my management team. It's getting together with that team and celebrating. I think it's these remote meetings are great to have tactical discussions, but to really get together and celebrate the accomplishments and so on somewhere. And my team's all over the world, so whenever we're getting together as a team, it's always a really fun place to be getting together. So getting together and celebrating with the team is definitely on the to-do list as soon as.
Good answer. I'd echo that. I'd be the same.
Yeah.
You can't replace it.
And it's quite likely that'll be in Nice, France. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have to start to learn how to wear dress pants again, but I mean, I think I can do it. I've been wearing jeans every day for a year, so maybe that'll be the next thing. I actually ironed a shirt for you today, Rob, just for you, buddy. Good. So that's it. How was that? Painless?
That was good.
Okay.
It's good.
I'm glad.
Good to get a lot of these thoughts that float around in your head out and talking to someone about them. But yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff happen this year on the training and education side. I think it's given this time has given people pause to think about their training and education and spend a lot of time focusing in areas that we often get so busy that we don't think about training that we often need to do. So we've seen a lot of people spend more time taking training that they wouldn't normally have had the time to do.
Yeah, well, considering what we do for a living, we've definitely seen it because we're right at the street level with that, and it's been busy, and particularly in digital delivery and some of the new streaming services as far as aggregating content and some of the cool stuff that's out there right now. It's fun. It's definitely fun because it's every day changes, so it's been great. But thanks, Rob. I just going to keep an eye on the time. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Hopefully it is a Friday when we're recording this. Have a good weekend. And
yes.
Good luck. And I'm looking forward to seeing you maybe at whoever the next new best restaurant is in Ottawa.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thanks,
Good to
Rob.
talk to you.